year is 1943. A man is riding atop a Sherman battle tank. He's got two ivory-handled Colt 45s on his hip and a cavalry saber in his arm. He's riding across the African desert, shouting orders to men, waving his sword around. You may picture this scene then like an old war movie, but in fact this is not a war movie. This is a real man. This man, General George Patton. Last week, I read to you one of Patton's most famous speeches. So today I thought it would be only fitting if I tell you a little bit about the man himself. His life is way too interesting to tell his whole story within 5 minutes. So I'm just breaking it down into 3 sections. His early life and his early career, his role in World War II, and just I'm going to give you some insights into the type of man Patton was. Patton was born in 1845 in California. He was a terrible student as a child, but he was able to overcome this and get into the prestigious West Point Academy in 1904. While at West Point, he was a track and field star and was a leading member of their fencing team. He was actually a really accomplished swordsman. He graduated and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the cavalry. As an early young officer, he was constantly singled out by his superiors for being exceptional. He was very dedicated and very disciplined. He even competed in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm as a pentathlete. In 1916, he joined the famous John J. Pershing in his expedition into Mexico to hunt Pancho Villa. He served as Pershing's personal aide. While he was in Mexico, he encountered his first bit of combat. He was leading a patrol of 10 men in 3 1915 Dodge Brothers touring cars. And while on patrol, they encountered 3 of Pancho Villa's men. They attacked them and killed them. And according to History.com, Patton then took the 3 corpses, strapped them to the hood of his car like they were trophy deer, and drove them back into base. America loved that. He became popular immediately because of that. After Mexico, he would then go on to serve in World War I under Pershing again, where, according to his official biology, he fought in the world's very first tank battle. He was a part of that. He also was awarded the Purple Heart. Next, we're going to talk about what Patton is most famous for, his role in World War II. He is largely considered the best field commander in the history in the entire war on both sides. He defeated Rommel in North Africa and then went on to liberate Sicily. While he was here, this is where he ran into his first bit of trouble. He slapped and berated 2 enlisted soldiers who were suffering from battle fatigue, which in today's terms we would probably just call PTSD. Patton did not believe in battle fatigue, he just considered it cowardice. Well, that got really bad press in America, and Eisenhower disciplined Patton and sent him back to England. And because the Germans placed Patton in such high regard, they felt he was our best commander, and they were positive he was going to lead the invasion into Europe. Eisenhower placed Patton in charge of the 1st American Army Group, which was a completely fictitious army. It was made up of fake tanks, they're like inflatable trucks, set pieces, and positioned him and this fake army by the port of Pas de Calais, which was the shortest part of the channel, as a slight. So thinking the invasion would go there. And since Patton was in charge of this army, they knew, the Germans were convinced that's where the attack was going to come, where in fact, we all know it went to Normandy. After the invasion of Normandy, Patton would lead the 3rd Army in a breakout run into Europe. He would go on to rescue the 101st, who was surrounded at Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge. This was considered his greatest accomplishment, was the rescue of the 101st. Afterwards, he would lead the 3rd Army into Germany, and Germany shortly thereafter capitulated and the war was over. Patton went on to become the military governor of Bavaria until he got in trouble again for running his mouth to the press, and he was relieved of command. He was sent back to America, and on December 8, 1945, Patton was involved in a car accident where he was severely injured. He would die of those injuries on December 25th. Finally, I want to tell you a little bit about the man Patton was, like some of his habits, what his beliefs were. He was extremely disciplined and intense. He hated cowardice more than anything, which is why he slapped those soldiers. He felt, as you heard his speech last week, he felt all cowards should be killed. That was his thought on that. He pushed his men as hard as possible. He often yelled obscenities to get his point across, which some generals felt was lowbrow. He had no problem saying what was on his mind, to the point of him getting into a lot of trouble. When he was relieved of command in Germany and sent back to America, it was because he was telling the press that Nazis, well, some of them were at least like no different than Republicans and Democrats in America. And that's something you just could not do in 1945. And he was also actively campaigning for the invasion of Russia, because he felt war was going to come with them anyway, and we might as well do it now while we had the troops in place. He was a bit of a prima donna. He loved to see his picture in the paper. He loved being viewed as like America's war hero. And he designed his own uniform. He designed his own cavalry sword. He loved to be the part as much as we like to view him as that part today. And finally, he was an immense lover of history. And this may be because he legitimately believed in reincarnation. He thought and told everyone that would listen that he was a reincarnated soldier who's fought all across history. He was a Roman legionnaire, he was a knight in the Middle Ages, and when he died in the future, he would be fighting in our future space battles or whatever. In conclusion, you now know about one of America's greatest commanders. We talked about Patton's early life, his role in World War II, and some insights into the man himself. Patton was born to lead men into victory, and he did. Thank you.